Board. So welcome everybody to our first Lunch and Learn, and I'm really excited. I received an email from Reg Aubry a couple weeks ago, and I just knew that this was an amazing opportunity for him to be able to showcase his awesome work that he does with computer science. And so my name is Dr. Jones, and Dr. Sharon Jones, and I've had the privilege of being able to work with Cabarrus County Schools and with my friend Melanie Ritter from CMS as well, and had the privilege of working with Reg over the past couple of years as we have grown in our own knowledge with computer science. We've been spending this year prepping and preparing for computer science standards that will be coming into our classrooms in the fall. And one piece that we wanted to share are some really great ways that you can incorporate computer science and computational thinking right now as we're navigating online learning, in-person learning, and all the other things that affect our daily teaching lives. And so Reg is going to speak to us today about exploring artificial intelligence and with the Teachable Machine. This is powered by Google, and he'll dive into more to tell you more about what it is. But I wanted this opportunity to, again, talk a little bit about what is artificial intelligence and machine learning. I think those words are often tossed around and there isn't a great explanation for them. And so this is a great way to show you that it's not as overwhelming or scary as you may think. I mean, we use artificial intelligence every day when you use Alexa or Google Home. And so Reg is going to show you a little bit how to incorporate this and use Google, which I think is an amazing opportunity. And so I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Aubry. I'm going to stop sharing right now and let you take over.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here.
Welcome. Yep, this is fun. In the process of doing some working on the computer science curriculum for next year, you know, we're always looking at different resources, lesson plans, and fun resources and activities and things that teachers will be able to use in the classroom. And we fell into this somewhat new resource that's actually put out by Google. And I sent this link to Dr. Jones, and you know, we were both excited about it. So I'll get to showcase it to you today. It's really powerful technology, but you'll find out it's really simple to use and actually pretty fun. And I think people from elementary through high school classes will be able to find something fun to do with this resource. So I'll start. Let me right away grab a link for you that I'll put into chat. And it's a short URL. And let's see, paste that in. And that link should give you my Google Doc, which is this presentation with the links and everything. When you click on it, it should prompt you if you want to make a copy. I've made the link available to everyone who has the link, not just anyone who's logged into the system. And so you can follow along, or you can just grab it to have afterwards. I'm just going to go through this entire presentation. So let me see if I can share my screen with you. And I want screen number 2 and then share. And in a moment, good, you should be seeing my screen. I've just made a PDF of that Google Doc just so I can make it larger and scroll through it. But the name of the resource is Teachable Machine, and you can get to it from 2 different ways. If you want to actually spell out teachablemachine.withgoogle.com, you can do it that way, or you can just do to g.co, which is short for google.com, g.co/teachable machine. If you have this presentation, you'd be able to just click right on it. Before we go with that, I'm just going to take you through a couple of images. If you go to Google or some other resource and look up artificial intelligence, you get pictures like this. It's a picture of what looks like robotic hands, and they've got the image of a brain possibly, and it has AI on it. And here's another one, a picture of an Android looking at a network of some sort. And here's another picture of the same android looking at zeros and ones with the letters AI spelled out in printed circuit boards, very symbolic. And it's like, ooh, high tech in the future. And then you kind of work your way down, start studying about AI, and you hear the words machine learning a lot these days. And here we have a funny little graphic of a robot with a bunch of books around it. See, the machine is learning, haha. And then here's something kind of arcane with a possible electronic brain plugged into some device, and then a screen with zeros and ones. And then we start to, as we work our way down, see, well, with all this stuff with machine learning, there are a lot of applications in a bunch of different areas that all have to do with this. And here they specify, you can look at image and speech recognition. You can look at, a variety of different activities with machine learning. Then you start going, well, what's machine learning? And as you start studying some more, you find out there are a variety of different approaches to machine learning, to getting machines to learn somewhat the way we do. And one of the things they point to is something called neural networks. And this is a typical diagram you see when you go to say, wow, neural network seems a little confusing. I wonder if there's a simplified way of studying it. So you punch in simplified explanation of neural network, and you see this diagram. And then you see a simple neural network, which, to me looks a lot like this non-simple neural network. And then there's like a layer, and then a hidden layer, although it's not hidden because I can see it on the diagram, and then an output layer. And then they kind of say the same thing. And if you click this link, well, I'll just click it, and they'll take you a picture of, I don't know, the same diagram over and over and over again that's supposed to explain what neural networks are to you. And they don't really, because it's really difficult to simplify this. Sometimes they'll say, what you have is, what we did is we tried to take the neurons in the brain and try to make a symbolic software representation of that. Here are the dendrites, and they collect information, and then they process them, and then they send them out and make something happen. And here's another diagram. And so you see, well, stuff goes in, and then something happens, and then something happens on the outside of it. And then they'll explain, well, we used the image of the brain, and we tried to basically recreate the brain, but in a very simple manner. And this stuff has been going on for quite a while. In the 50s, really, the neural networks really jumped up big. And they came up with something called a perceptron. Think of it as a very simple neuron that was modeled with software. This is back in the 50s and 60s. And then in the 70s, you may recognize these names, Marvin Minsky and Seymour Papert, who were proteges of Piaget, and really pushed the whole idea of constructivist learning, which we as teachers have been taught as the foundation of what we do. These guys came along and said, well, you can model a neuron, but we don't really have the computing power to do that these days. You guys should not even be looking at this anymore. And so it was ignored for quite a while until you get up to our modern time. And now we have the hardware and the data to be able to start doing machine learning modeled after a neural network, a simplified model of the brain. So go ahead and click on the link, or go to g.co.teachablemachine, and I'll see if I can bring up my screen of it. And you should see something like this with Teachable Machine.
Or said that there's a group missing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Reg, you may need to stop sharing and then share your entire desk, or share the screen for Teachable.
Okay. So I'll say stop share and then share screen. Maybe I'll just
it should be the first one. Underneath share, it should just say like desktop, or just share. The first upper left-hand one.
Oh, screen 2, and it should cover the whole screen.
Should.
Do you see Teachable Machine now?
Not yet. Hit share.
Oh, sorry, I have to hit the share button. Right. Okay. And then,
There you go. Yes, there we are.
and then if I go back into the PDF, you can see that.
Yep, we got it now. Perfect.
Good. Okay. So that's what's going on. And I go back to here. So this is the website called Teachable Machine. And you can very simply do things like you can see the picture of the people over on the right-hand side, and they're able to make different gestures or show different, make different sounds or make different objects in front of them, and the machine should recognize it. And you and I will go through this, and we'll actually be able to do this in a matter of a couple of minutes. When I first went through this site, I made a link so that I made a little thing so I could recognize either my face or a book or a robot. And then I went to an experiments area and I tried some of the experiments. There's an experimental area on the site. I'm going to click on it, on this, and I'm going to go into where it says interplay mode. And I click interplay mode and then launch experiment. And it's going to give me some experiments of some things that people made where they made things for a classroom where you could interact. This is a grammar lesson that someone made. And can you see this screen? Grammar lesson? Okay, I'm going to walk through it and then you'll hear me talk to the screen and it'll recognize my voice and tell me whether I got it right. So this is a grammar. The party was bad. Ah, I didn't just use the one word, okay? Bad. Bad.
Woohoo!
All right. Am. One more.
Do it wrong.
Funly. More fun.
So this was created in the Teachable Machine, Reg?
Yes, somebody made a Teachable Machine. They figured out a way to distinguish between those different words, and then they wrote some code so that it would work interactively with YouTube. That part is going to be beyond what we can do, but I've pointed to some sources for people who want to learn some JavaScript and stuff to be able to do something like that.
Really cool.
Yeah, so that part's really fun. So go back to my, they had a thing with it called Teachable Snake, where you could draw a picture of like an arrow on a piece of paper, and then you could hold it up and move like a little cursor movement going left and right and up and down, but I couldn't get it to work. I wasn't sure what was going on with that, but they have some examples. So let's go and make one for ourselves. I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to grab a couple of little items around the house. Grab some fruit or vegetable, maybe grab some pens, maybe headphones, maybe devices nearby or your phone, maybe some implement from the kitchen or the living room, just a couple of different items you can compare. We're going to compare either 2 or 3, your choice, what you want to do. It's not going to take that much longer to do 3.
I have my objects.
Okay. Oh, nice.
I'm good.
And they even have this random thing. I think it goes to a marble run somewhere in my household.
Oh, well, you'll have to
Oh,
give
yes,
it a
I need one of
name.
those. Mine's missing. I'd
Oh,
love to.
right. You do a can of soda. You can do a variety of different things. All right. Yeah, so just a couple of small items that you'll hold up. And we'll go through this process and it will be pretty easy and it'll just take us a few minutes. I suggest when we do it, it's gonna ask us to hold these objects up next to our web camera. You might wanna like get yourself off to the side and just hold it up with like just your hand. Because other than that, what you end up training the thing to recognize your object and your face. And sometimes it doesn't tell the difference. There's a funny story when they first started doing image recognition and they were taking pictures of sheep. Well, the pictures of sheep were always with a background of a green field behind them. And so the machine started thinking that every time it saw a green field, it was looking at sheep because it thought a green field was part of what sheep were made out of. So, background is something to deal with. And that's great conversation to have with the kids when they're training their objects. All right, so this will be our process. We've gathered up some examples that we're going to use. We're going to train our model, and then we're going to export it and click on a link, and it'll give you a little URL, and you'll be able to like show other people the URL and hold up objects, and they should be able to distinguish between the ones that you've trained it to do. And it's that straightforward. Here, and there'll be a link. I've given you a link here on the site that will walk you through how to do this process, so you don't even have to take notes as you go along. Go ahead to Teachable Machine with google.com. And when you do, you'll click on a Get Started button. There are actually 2 Get Started buttons on that page. Just pick either one. And then you'll want to select Image Project. You could also teach it how to recognize different sounds. The image one seems a little more straightforward. And poses you can also do too. All right, so here's our entire lesson here, what we're going to be doing in the next couple of minutes. We're going to take the 2 or 3 objects. You'll notice on the left-hand side, let me see if I can jump into my Teachable Machine screen. I'm going to go back to the top. I need to go Teachable Machine, click Get Started, and then Image Project. And so you can see it has class 1 and class 2. This is what it's calling what your objects are going to be. So if you have, like, for example, if I had a can of soda, I would click this little pen and then type in soda. That would be 1. And then whatever your second object is, you'll put into class 2. I'll say book, something like that. So you put in your 2 objects into where it says class, just so you have a title for it. So then when you've created everything, it knows it's comparing soda versus books. And then go back to PDF. You're going to, you're going to push this, you're going to hold up your object in front of your webcam. Again, try to get off to the side so it's just, kind of your object in your hand, if at all possible. And you're going to click the webcam button. And didn't recognize it. Open your webcam. Oh, I'm probably using my webcam now because I'm teaching. That'll be interesting to see whether that interferes. Right, I don't have permissions to switch between my webcam. I guess, are you able to do that, Dr. Jones? Are you able to do it? I've lost sound with you.
Oh no, I muted myself. I was over here having a good time holding up my bananas.
Okay.
Yes, do you want me to share my screen?
Sure, that way you can just show people what you're doing. It's probably because I'm the presenter, I don't have access to my 2 webcams or something.
Yes, just hit stop. sharing for the moment, and then I'll share mine.
I had to turn my video off, and then it worked for me. Just FYI.
Okay. And so just while I've got everybody, what you need to do is you have to hold down the webcam button. Try to take like 400 or 500 pictures. So try to hold it there for about 20 seconds. So it has a lot of data, and move your object around so it sees it at different angles. I will do stop share. Okay, I can see you. And so you just held down.
Yes, and it looks like I didn't realize I didn't take as many of the cup, like you said. The banana happened really fast.
Wow, okay.
When I hold up, oh, it's doing pretty well there, Reg. Look, it's saying cup, and then I got out of the way like you told me to do.
Right.
Let's see if this one works. It's kind of thinking it's a banana. Oh, pin. There we go.
Pen, it's getting a little closer, right?
But I didn't. So on that one's probably a little more difficult just because of the color, I would imagine, in my background.
Well, how many pictures did you take for the pen?
The pen has 1, 2, 3, 5.
Oh my. Yeah. You, if you can, you want to hold the camera button down and take like 200 anyway.
200. Okay, that's what I did not
So
do.
that way you'll have lots of samples to know how to distinguish stuff. So
Okay.
That's the trick with the with that. And then after you've taken pictures of your 3 items, all you have to do is train your model. And as I said in my notes, training means just hit the training button, and it does some processing for about a minute. And then it gives you your window. You can see, like Dr. Jones has, where there's a window of her and she's holding up different objects. And down below, you can see where it says banana, cup, and pen. The thing is giving her, it's filling in how confident it is that what she's holding up, it's pretty confident that it's recognized a banana. When she holds up a cup, it's like 50% sure that it's a cup, which is pretty good because she only gave it 3 images. When I did sampling, I took literally like 500 each. I just held my button down. So
The pen is the struggle. Oh, look, that one's doing better. I think maybe the way I'm holding it. So that's a good point, Reg, too. Like in terms of when you take the picture, should you rotate the object to different positions?
You should move it around, rotate it, hold it at different angles. Literally, if you could have different lighting conditions on it, I mean, as much variation as possible. So, it's again, think of it as a really, really simple child, and you're trying to say, this is what a cup looks like. And you want that child to be able to recognize a cup when it was sitting on a table, when it was sitting on near a chair, when it was close to you, when it was far away, if it was dark, if it was light, all that kind of stuff. So you're trying to give it as much variation, but most of the time you're able to do it just by wiggling the object around, rotating it, turning it different ways, and try not to make the background too complicated.
That's a good point. Mine's it's a little dark on this back end. So when we hit export model, what does that mean?
Yes. So I'm going to
I'll stop sharing.
Share my screen again.
Okay, let me stop sharing, and then I'll let you have it.
I'm going to share screen 2 and then hit share. And so you should see, so we'll train the model. And then when you get a link, show to others, you want to select upload my model. And then it will give you a URL, and you want to copy that link. And so, for example, I have one that I made. Here's a link that it gave me. And it's for a model that I called Orange Purple. And I'll see if I can plug it in. Here's a blank screen. I'm going to paste the link in, and this you should be able to do with the thing you made or your students. And it's going to give you a screen like this. And again, it can't see me because I'm sharing my video, but normally there would be a picture here live from your camera, and then you would hold up, and I would either hold up an orange pen or a purple pen, and it would recognize either one. Just like we could see Dr. Jones had the banana or the cup or the pen. And so when you upload your model, it gives you a URL, and you can hand out that URL to anyone. And so can your students, so they can train it to do different things. And again, if you're in a phys ed class, you could train your students to for it to recognize different poses. They might be in a starting position, or if their running form is better or not, or if they're doing yoga, or things like that. So it recognizes poses, it recognizes images, and it can recognize and distinguish between sounds. And so some fun stuff to do with those. For resources, I've added some resources on. Look in the experiments section, and that gives you some ideas. I have a link. Someone actually was able to give people the code, take your model, and then, so say you made a model for you with your hand raised up and you with your hand down. You'll be able to teach an Arduino to like move an arm one way or the other based on recognizing your model, things like that. And then if you want to get into JavaScript, there are some people who have done codes that are able to take the model. And often taking the model just means putting that URL that you got, sticking it somewhere special in a JavaScript module, putting that URL in, and then there are libraries that are able to recognize that as being, oh, that's machine code. I have a library that I, as a piece of code, use to, I'm able to interpret that. And then it can do some things for you. And so more code you can play with, and some videos to, if you really wanted to get into programming with some JavaScript that recognizes your machine code, and you can even how to control a robot with a Raspberry Pi that one student did, and then a couple of books and a video about neural networks. And so I will stop sharing and come back. And so that's machine learning as it's set up. Google decided, and if you look at the introductory video on that Teachable Machine website, the people who created it said, hey, machine learning seems really complicated. Whatever was it? Whatever, if we can make it simpler. So they came up with that site. And of course, they're using a database that's full of literally hundreds of millions of pictures in order to help your piece of code recognize pictures that you're showing, objects that you're showing it. So there's a lot of data behind it. And that's what you tell your students. We live in a world now where all of this data exists, and then there are different ways of using it. You can get into the ethics of it. Do we want there to be cameras around that recognize our faces everywhere? There are times absolutely yes, there are times absolutely no. Take you back to automobiles. The automobile has polluted the world and people die in automobile accidents. On the other hand, I'm glad there are ambulances to take me to the hospital if I need it. So, technology, it's a genie in a bottle, and it can be dangerous or thrilling. And these same issues that come up with every technology are there for artificial intelligence and machine learning. You can have these arguments and the topics that run through social studies class, through math class, robotics class, drafting, English, just everything. The applications are ubiquitous. So any questions? I know we're coming down to the last few minutes of when we've scheduled this, but that's the website. There are a bunch of fun little links and ways of, they really help you walk you through the process for each one of those steps. If you want it, they've got little videos for doing that. And they're very friendly. You can test them. You can see whether you want your students to be trying them out. I think it's a pretty classroom friendly website. And the application seems to be, but you always want to check that on your own for your individual class. But I was pretty happy with it. So.
Thank you. Is there any way, would it be too much to ask to have that PDF sent to us or emailed to us, or so that we could have a more accessible copy of the that takes?
Oh, yes, I was gonna, I pasted into the,
I know, and I made the mistake of sitting down without a pen or a notebook to take notes. I didn't write that down.
I think I have, let me give you the the link again, because basically I gave you a URL right to my Google Doc.
Okay.
So which you could even, you could just modify it yourself. I just made a PDF of the Google Doc. This
But
is,
honey, I'll do a follow-up and send you an email that has the PDF. But yes, he just, when you open up the link that Reg gave you, it's going to ask you to make a copy and then it'll populate. But I will send you an actual PDF as well,
right.
as well as a link to this recording so that you can have that as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I hate to rush out, but I am going to. I have another professional development workshop that's
Yep. Yep. It's Friday.
Yes.
overlap, but I was hoping I could do both. This was really intriguing and it's a little out of my comfort zone, but I do want to play around with this. I just think it could be fun. So I want to learn about it. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Well,
And it doesn't
glad
have to,
you're
it doesn't
here.
have to be technical. You know, it can just be, hey, here's a fun website with some technology in the background, all the way till you can start studying the calculus and the linear algebra that goes into the calculation for how it works and everything in between. So,
You know, I do think it's exciting. And even when you share it with a student who you know is interested in this, I think that's a good directive for them. He or she can just go there and you could be the teacher who's like, oh, you gave them a little tip or something.
yes.
Go through these classes, but again, students always teach me, so I like having a tip now and then where they can, you know, be intrigued by something and, you know, carry on. But anyway, I do need to run. I'm so sorry to rush out, but thank you. You got me.
Hi, Connie. Thank you.
So
Yep.
much, guys. Bye.
Were there any other questions? I thought you did a great job, Reg, of explaining. Did anybody need any more clarity around, he explained really well about what artificial intelligence is, because that gets a little muddled and there's not a really great, easy answer to that. And then I love that this example of machine learning is we're using the images to teach the computer to recognize, right, using that webcam. But was there any other questions that you all had, you know, about like what is artificial intelligence or any other examples?
You know, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, you know, goes up another level in it, even machine learning itself has like 7 basic theories behind it and approaches that the experts and the professionals in the field use and argue about which is the best in which situation. Artificial intelligence just bring it up one more level of abstraction, it's a huge field. It's still in its infancy, despite the number of decades that they've been looking at this. But the experts are telling us it's changing rapidly. The number of applications and uses of machine learning and artificial intelligence have exploded just in the last couple of years. So this is definitely going to be a part of our students' lives. And so it's something that's good for them to have an awareness of and realize they need to be part of the decisions that are made in their society about this technology.
Agree. That was, I was thinking about, I use this example very often that when I started teaching in, 20 years ago or so, very different technology that we had now. But there was such a pivotal moment for me when the iPod came out and how that changed the way we really interacted with tech. For so many years, it was a desktop. And then we had the flip phone and the slider phone and all those things. But when the iPod came out, it really changed the way we are able to connect with the Internet of Things. And then the iPad and the just dramatic, rapid exploration of things around artificial intelligence and becoming more popular has been really robust over the past few years, as you mentioned. And then I think even over the pandemic, we've become much more comfortable with being able to interact with tech with this level of intelligence, right? And I think in the next couple of years, it's just going to continue to be just an upward trajectory.
Yeah, it's really astounding how fast it's changing and is reaching into every area. I just this morning came across a textbook that talks about that's teaching people in the construction industry the amount of artificial intelligence choices they have to make for construction technology. this textbook is for people who, run construction sites and how they need to be informed about the range of artificial intelligence in their industry today.
Yeah. I mean, the sheer amount, so my brother's in construction as well, and he was saying, the use of drones and the way they're using when they go out to measure a lot, or when they're using CAD or audit or Revit, about how they're using Internet of Things to communicate with things that are on the ground at the site and sending back live data to them in the office to be able to create the plans and project management and all that. It's pretty incredible. I mean, they're using it a lot. Well, everyone, I want to thank you so much for your time. We said from 12 to about 12:45. If there's any other questions that you have, we would love for you to reach out. I will be following up with you with an email with a PDF of this and a link to this recorded webinar that we've done here. And then I would love if you, when I send you the email, if you have any ideas of other lunch and learns that you would like to have for these little snippets of tech learning that we can provide or showcase one of your talents, I would really, really love that, because this is a great way for us to communicate and provide some technical pieces that are easy, digestible, and we can do, excuse me, in our classroom right now. And then my last piece is I'm going to put out a challenge that you all implement this in your classroom between now and the end of school. You can do it. You can do it. It'll be so much fun. The kids will love it.
Yeah, I mean, they can take anything. I mean, it'd be fun in drafting if they're able to take anything that they 3D print and do comparisons with them and see if they notice any of the differences. Art classes, just variety of fun stuff.
Yeah, I just like picking up things around your house and seeing if the computer can recognize it. I think that's pretty cool. Especially, I didn't try this one, but I really should have tried to see what they thought it was. What they thought it was. I don't know. It's a marble run thing. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. Thank you, Reg. You're amazing. You're always amazing. I love everything you do. Let me know if there's other ideas that you have for Lunch and Learns, you yourself, Reg, or anybody else. And I'd love to do at least one more before we exit out of school, because I think it's a great way for us to connect.
All right. Melanie, what question?
Oh no, I was clapping. Good job.
Oh, that was Thanks.
All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day and have a great rest of your lunch.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.